This message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic.
Did you know I was personally dragged into the whistleblowing about the sexual abuse, trafficking of vulnerable women at the non-profit organization with a false accusation by the female central to my story? I had support from some famous people like...
One man told me about being beaten by the police and left permanently disabled because of a woman's false allegation.
No. But see, I'm not a closet elitist. I don't run around pretending to be a man of the people. I'm absolutely not a man of the people at all.
How do you pay your bills?
Well, I'm extraordinarily loaded just from money I inherited.
You're a trust fund baby, are you not?
No, completely. I've never needed to work. I mean, it's all just the whole cable news thing was like a phase I was going through. It's one thing you learn when you grow up in a castle and look out across the moat every day at the hungry peasants out in the village. Is you don't want to stoke envy among the proletariat.
Hello, it's November 2025. Now, this video is inspired by a story, a case that I just came across. And this story took place in the 1990s. However, in 2024, last year, there was kind of an update to that, or one might say a conclusion to all that. Now, this case reminds me of, parallels another story, another case that took place almost a year ago. And the basic topic of the case are pretty much the same, in the same category, we'll say. Now, before I get into this video, I just want to be very clear. I do not condone any of the actions that individuals in these cases took. It's a tragedy for everyone involved. Now, what this video is going to be really exploring, looking into, tying everything in all together, is about a topic that I did discuss, I've mentioned over a decade ago, and how historically we had, for example, nobility, nobles, which today would be the professional class, and we have the peasants, which would be the commoner, the citizen, the civilian. In the Western culture, we do have a class system. However, it's not as visible as, for example, in other cultures. And this is not a diss towards other cultures. I'm just simply highlighting a fact. So this does exist. So this is going to be part of really what I'm going to be focusing on. And the other part is going to be about how the commoner, the civilian, the citizen, handles each of these two stories much differently. Now, this case that took place almost a year ago involved a young man by the name of Luigi. And he took from life a CEO of an American health insurance company. And the story behind that backstory is tragic in itself as well. There's a lot of frustration in how people are treated, and more what we see in society today, people are relating to this type of thing and other types of injustice, and they're getting fed up with it. Again, I want to be very clear, I'm not condoning these types of actions at all. Now, Luigi, his case is still ongoing, and there's lots of controversy with his case, and as a descriptive, a lot of unknown factors, information that perhaps even authority types don't even know yet. Now, one of the things that you can notice with his case is how, for example, the commoner, the citizen, the civilian, whatever, the peasants, have elevated Luigi to a heroic status, like he's a hero. Now, I'm not stating or implying anything for or against this. I'm maintaining a neutral position. But this is what we see with that particular case, because, again, more and more people are being frustrated with how the system works. And in this case, it's how the injustice is with the medical profession. Now, this other case that inspires this video involves a man by the name of Vincent. And his backstory is very tragic. His father had passed away some years prior. Keep in mind, this case took place in the 1990s. And 2 years prior to what this story is about, his wife was taken from life in a car accident. And all he had was his mother. His whole life revolved around his mother. And her health declined very bad, and he took care of her. Now, there came a point where his mother needed a surgery, heart surgery. And he researched and did everything he could and found a surgeon, a heart surgeon. And he would later say how he noticed how this heart surgeon treated wealthy people, or other professionals, differently than they were treated by the same doctor. Now, I'm just going to touch up real quick about professionals. Professionals have something called professional courtesy within different professions. And even within a profession, there's professional courtesy. And in part, that has to do with maintaining public trust of a profession. It could be in the justice system, it could be the medical profession, it could even be political. And this is why we see them all banding together, covering for each other. Right or wrong, this is how it is. But even the commoner has their own type of courtesy amongst themselves. So this guy's mother went into surgery, and sometime later the doctor had come out and said in a very cold manner, "Your mother did make it, have a nice life." And that was it. Left him sitting there, not offering any counseling by the surgeon, or have some other staff come and just be with him. He was left alone. And this bothered him, losing his mother and everything else. He pursued every legal avenue he had available, and they all failed. The system failed him. Eventually, this would drive him to taking that surgeon from life on her own front lawn. And it's very interesting to see the security camera footage from the neighbor, the body language, and how initially the surgeon was basically dismissive, saying, "Oh no, it was all resolved," until she seen the weapon in his hand, and her demeanor completely changed, obviously. So now this surgeon is no longer. He calmly walks over to his truck and just waits. The police arrive, no issue. And prior to all this, he wrote a long letter why he did it, apologizing and everything else. He wrote another letter, a short one, to his deceased mother saying he was sorry. And last year, 2024, Vincent served his 25-year sentence in full and was released. No one, the commoner, has said anything about his story and what he did, because we have a commoner dealing with a professional. That surgeon, it had come out, actually had a big history of settling malpractice suits and everything else. So it wasn't the first time that this female surgeon had issues. But she was praised and put on a pedestal for her great work. What we see here is how Luigi took out a CEO and everyone props him up as a hero, and Vincent, no one cares about. There's a difference in how people are treating these two individuals. And essentially, these two individuals committed the same act of assassination. Now, what's the difference between assassination and murder, for example? Assassination, one has someone in public view, and murder, not. Assassination is still murder, but that's the difference. And then there's intent behind it, types of intent. So again, I'm not condoning what happened, and I'm not saying either way if Vincent was a hero or not, but these two individuals committed the same act, even against someone in the medical profession, perhaps on different parts of it, but no one, again, cares about Vincent, but yet will donate a lot of money and help Luigi. Now, Luigi's case is still pending before the courts. He hasn't been proven guilty of anything. Let's just go along with the narrative that he did do it. And this is what I really want to highlight. How we do have a class system in the Western culture. You have the professionals, which one time were called the nobles, and you have the peasants, which they are called the commoner or the citizen. And now we get to the topic of how a more high-profile person like the CEO, his being taken from life is being treated so much differently that the justice system wants to make an example of Luigi and send a message. Whereas in Vincent's case, perhaps a less highly profile person really didn't matter. So the higher you are in your status, your social status, the more the whole system is going to make an example. From the perspective of Luigi and Vincent, these people that they took from life messed around and found out. And from the justice system, they committed the acts, black and white. And I started to do a little bit of just quick research on, for example, other types of professionals who were taken from life, from judges to others in other areas of the medical profession, to law enforcement, to everything else. And it does happen. But no one really knows about these cases. And apparently, when it comes to judges, there are cases going back, I believe, to the 1800s that have been documented, and for various different reasons. But there is a pattern of injustice or perceived injustice. And this is where we have a problem now. Because over the many years, I've had so many people approach me, not only claiming to be whistleblowers themselves, but victims of injustice. And reality is, sure, maybe there was some wrongdoing, but there's really nothing to substantiate injustice as they see it. So if people start doing these things, again, I'm not condoning it, then we're going to get into the area of, this is how I feel, and that's just going to be total chaos. When we have people who actually experience injustice lashing out, for example, against the justice system, say judges and so forth. This is why we have in the courts now such high security. You have to go through metal detectors and x-rays and everything else. And they're telling people it's to keep the criminals out from retaliating, but the reality is to keep the people who are victims of injustice, who snap, from going in and seeking their own justice. And that's the reality. That's why security measures at courthouses and even hospitals have increased, because people are getting fed up with being treated so poorly. So what can you take away from all this? We do have a class system here. Until you recognize it, you're going to be disadvantaged in making any conclusions. We see also how the commoner, the people, will treat two different people who did the same thing completely differently. Even though each person who committed an act pretty much had the same motive against the same type of person. And we see how society is becoming more and more frustrated. No matter where you turn, there's more frustration. And this even goes to politics. People are getting very frustrated with it, but what people need to realize is the perceived elected leaders at any level don't really make any decisions. They're simply being told what agendas are and told to do their part. That's a whole different topic in itself. All we can do is survive life. Injustices will happen. And just wanted to give you some things to think about. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
The fastest pathway to destroy your results in sales, influence, intelligence operations is viewing the world through a hierarchical lens. So like I walk into a room and the first thing I do is, who's in charge, who's above me, am I better than that guy? Always wearing that fancy sweater vest from that one country club. He probably makes this much money, that's twice my income. All of that kind of thinking will destroy your results. You treat the waiter at a restaurant the exact same as you do a CEO. If you treat everyone the same, no matter what, you don't show deference to anybody, you're just a good person all around. You stop seeing the world in hierarchical thinking.
Just remember, I was one man against many. Fighting a losing battle, but I still fought to the end.
That means press on. That means endure. That means God cannot fail, and you're not going to give up. That's not an option for a child of God. This means you are going to be Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people say, when is it going to get easier? When you die.